This is Colin O'Keefe here for LXBN TV. It has become the norm for websites and apps to track user behavior to, among other things, improve and personalize user experience. But what's becoming even more prevalent is cross-device tracking. Joining me now to discuss its adoption and also maybe some potential regulation coming as well is attorney Ari Moskowitz. He's with Mintz Levin and author on the firm's blog, Privacy and Security Matters. Ari, first off, this is something that I notice all the time, whether it be Twitter or newspaper websites or what have you. Oftentimes they're using cross-device tracking, whether it be to make sure you're not looking at too many articles or make sure your notifications line up between one or another. But I understand there was just a study on this. Just how prevalent is this cross-device tracking nowadays?
Sure, it's getting more and more prevalent, and what happens is as users, the success of the app economy and of mobile devices and tablets, your smartphones, your tablets, as those are just becoming adopted more and more prevalent and used more and more, that success is leading basically to the old methods of companies tracking users being less effective. So, when you were just looking at a website on your PC, a company could drop a cookie, which would mean, you don't have to log in again the next time you arrive, and also they can serve you ads, based on the rest of your browsing through the internet. Now that users are using multiple devices, they can't build the same picture and they can't provide the same functionalities of users that they were able to do when everything was happening on a single device. So this is becoming more and more prevalent, and it's driven by users adopting other multiple devices and using apps rather than just accessing things through their web browser. And that study you mentioned by Carnegie Mellon, that shows that this is becoming extraordinarily prevalent, and companies are, they cite to some, thousands over, I think, a couple of weeks of apps giving the locations of their users to the app developers. So Facebook checking periodically where a user is, and this happens. Also you have Google. You want to go ahead and you want to log in. You log in to your email on your phone. You log into your email on your tablet and on your PC, and Google wants to know that you're the same person, and so they have you logging into each of those, and that allows them to track you across devices, and then they know they can serve you ads based on what you're doing on your device, what you're doing on your PC, and they can also give you information that's relevant based on where you are or what else you happen to be doing.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, absolutely. I mentioned off the air, it'd be kind of annoying if things don't line up from one device to another. The Google Chrome browser, for example, they brought that to the iPhone so people could transfer their tabs and their bookmarks and stuff like that over. So, a lot of times it's almost a feature nowadays. But, second, what does, this is the other side to it, maybe the FTC peeking its ears up a little bit. What does potential regulation of the practice look like? Again, I mentioned the FTC is kind of taking a close look at this, seeing what there is to see.
Sure. So the FTC recently announced that they're going to be holding a workshop in November to discuss these issues. And so we're very, very early on in any of the potential regulation of this area. And actually it overlaps a lot with the recent interest in the Internet of Things. And there was a congressional hearing on that recently. The FTC just several weeks ago released its report on the Internet of Things based on a workshop it held in 2014. And that's because some of the devices that people are concerned about are not just your tablet and your smartphone, but your connected refrigerator. And as more and more devices get connected to the internet and people are using those, companies are going to want to track their users across devices. And so part of the same problems apply. How do you give notification to users about what's going on? When the screen sizes are different, when the devices in the Internet of Things don't have screens. And so these are the things that the FTC is going to be looking at. But at the very least, right now, I would expect that the initial approach is likely to be fairly similar to what happened with the Internet of Things, where the FTC basically, the bottom line was they had suggested that this is still a pretty new technology, and so they were going to wait before, or suggested waiting before any sort of most prescriptive regulations were adopted. It's a little bit different though, because smartphones, tablets, and those sorts of devices which have screens are certainly more prevalent than the rest of what they were concerned about on the Internet of Things. And there are methods for giving notice there. And so I do think that it's more likely the FTC will push for some clearer notifications that are tailored to the devices you're using and that are explicit about what companies are doing. And I think that's really the bottom line here, that if you're doing something, say you're doing it.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, they did take a close look at the Internet of Things, and I think, it's almost a good thing. I mean, we've seen in a number of different areas where regulatory bodies like the FCC or the courts, for example, will take old laws that apply to old telecommunications and will try to apply them to new technologies, and it just creates a huge mess. So the FTC being proactive with the Internet of Things and with cross-device tracking nowadays, it's really a good thing for them to be proactive about this type of stuff. Once again, that was Ari Moskowitz of Mintz Levin for more of an insight on this subject, and be sure to track this publication going forward, as I'm sure they'll have insights on it. Be sure to visit privacyandsecuritymatters.com. Thank you for joining me today, Ari.
Thank you very much, Colin.